Continuing my series on Ecovacs and Roborock, I'll compare the Ecovacs T30S to the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra to see which do-it-all robot vacuum offers better value in the premium category. I've spent days testing this robot extensively to get the data needed for this comparison, so let's get into it. We'll start with the base station design. The Ecovacs T30 and Roborock S8 Pro Ultra have do-it-all base stations that does everything. Charge the robot, empty the dustbin, and wash the pads. But there are differences that you should know which will affect the model you'll choose. First is the size. The T30S Combo, which is the model I have, has this massive base station with storage for the handheld vacuum and its tools, which is even bigger than the already massive S8 Pro dock. The next difference is the water tank capacity. Due to the replacement, the Ecovacs water tanks have slightly more capacity, with a 4-liter clean water and 3.5-liter dirty water capacity. The Roborock S8 Pro Ultra water container is small due to its horizontal configuration. Its clean water tank can hold up to 3 liters, while the dirty water tank has a 2.5-liter capacity. Another difference is bag location. The Ecovacs T30S bag is underneath the water containers and has a 3-liter capacity, while the Roborock S8 Pro bag is beside the water tanks and has a 2.5-liter volume. Both use ramp-style docks where the robot sits on a ramp. This design offers better stability and is something I'd recommend if you're planning on placing the dock inside a carpeted room. However, the pad washing system is different, which is another factor to consider. Ecovacs uses a simpler design where a tray with these ribbed contraptions sit underneath the 2 discs. When the robot goes into its pad washing cycle, the 2 discs spin against this tray to dislodge accumulated grime and dirt. It also has a hot water pad washing cycle to help disinfect the pads. Based on tests, this design is highly efficient at keeping the pads clean, with low running costs since the tray is made from good quality plastic and should last the robot's lifetime. The Roborock S8 Pro uses a cylindrical brush attached to a track that goes back and forth to scrub the pad. And based on my tests, it's quite efficient at scrubbing off grime. But the brush will miss the edges of the pad if there's heavy buildup. One downside to this design is you'll need to change the brush once the bristles wear out, and it will add to the running costs of owning this robot. Another feature lacking in the S8 Pro Ultra is the hot water pad washing cycle. If you want this feature on the Roborock, you can opt for the newer models like the S8 Max V Ultra that also has the hot air pad drying feature similar to Ecovacs. Lastly is the size difference. While both base stations are bulky, the T30S Combo with added width to accommodate the handheld unit is heavier. If you don't want the extra handheld unit, you can opt for the base T30S version with a standard dock. The Ecovacs T30S and Roborock S8 Pro use a round frame with a top-mounted LiDAR sensor for navigation. Manufacturers use a round frame because it's the most efficient way to traverse tight spaces with minimal risk of getting wedged. Both also have obstacle avoidance, helping in avoiding different household objects. The Ecovacs T30S uses 3 laser sensors up front for obstacle avoidance, while the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra has an IR sensor flanked by 2 laser sensors. The more expensive S8 Max V Ultra uses a front-facing camera plus 2 lasers flanking it. The difference between the S8 Pro and S8 Max V is that users can use the latter as a surveillance system since the camera doubles as a CCTV. Underneath, you can see these robots use a similar brush layout with a single side brush and a primary brush roll between the 2 side wheels. But their similarity ends here. The Roborock S8 Pro has not 1 but 2 brush rolls, similar to iRobot, but Roborock uses a different brush design with straight, slightly angled rubber fins spanning the whole brush, whereas iRobot's extractors use a textured surface. The Ecovacs T30S uses a single combo brush with soft bristles in a V configuration. We'll look how these perform later in the cleaning comparison section. Behind the primary brush roll is the mopping pad, which again is another deciding factor. The Roborock S8 Pro uses a single pad with 2 agitating elements built into the bracket, while the Ecovacs T30S has 2 spinning discs, one of which extend to reach the edges. Despite the differences, these offer more efficient stain removal than a basic robot mop without any agitation. Again, I'll share the results of the mopping experiments in the mopping comparison section later in this video. Both have a top-mounted dustbin. The S8 Pro has a slightly larger capacity at 350 milliliters than the T30S, which has a 300 ml capacity. But with the self-emptying feature, this difference is negligible. Next, we'll compare how these robots navigate and which option is more efficient. Since these robots use LiDAR, both have a similar navigation pattern. First, cleaning the edges before moving to the middle areas in a back and forth pattern. One advantage for Roborock is it can do a third pass for users who want a more thorough clean, which is accessible through the selective room cleaning and zone cleaning options. The Ecovacs T30S can only do a 2-pass run, but it does have a crisscross cleaning pattern like Roborock if you choose the multi-pass run. Both have a mapping run where the robot goes into exploratory mode with the motor shut off to preserve the battery and create the map. Since it uses a top-mounted laser sensor, it doesn't have to go through every nook and cranny since the laser does a job with its 360-degree scanning. However, the Roborock S8 Pro was more efficient during the coverage test, finishing the 2-pass run in just under 18 minutes, while the T30S took 3 minutes longer at 21 minutes. Please note that the test was done inside a small room where I scattered Quaker oats. There was no clear winner during coverage tests since both missed spots during this experiment. The Roborock S8 Pro has better obstacle avoidance capabilities with its infrared and laser sensors. It evaded obstacles better and didn't tangle with wires as often as the Ecovacs T30S that only uses laser sensors. One thing I like with the S8 Pro is it doesn't get too close, and it didn't climb the weighing scale, which was an issue with the T30S. But there is a size limit with what obstacles the S8 Pro can evade. It will not avoid very small obstacles. The Achilles heel of the S8 Pro is stretch wires, as with most robot vacuums, as it tangled on them. The Ecovacs T30S was decent but not great because it gets too close to the obstacle, increasing the risk of touching it, which is a no-no for stuff like wires or pet feces. But for obstacles like footwear, this is not an issue. If you look at the power rating, the Ecovacs T30S has more at 11,000 pascals, or 5,000 more than the S8 Pro's rated output at 6,000 pascals. The airflow results mirror this discrepancy. The Ecovacs T30S nearly doubles the output of the Roborock S8 Pro with a max output of over 22 CFM in the highest power setting, or around 10 more than the S8 Pro, which only had 11 CFM in the highest power setting. Despite the high airflow, the Ecovacs T30S wasn't as good as the Roborock S8 Pro in the cleaning experiments, getting a lower overall average. If you look closely at the results, the S8 Pro was better in nearly all the tests, especially at picking up debris on carpet. The twin brush design excelled at debris pickup over the Ecovacs design that used softer bristles. Roborock used all rubber brushes with these fins around the roller to help pick up debris efficiently, even without high airflow. It picked up over 99% on surface debris tests and over 85% in deep cleaning tests on carpets, which is an excellent score for a low airflow robot. The Ecovacs T30S wasn't as good, which is in direct correlation with the brush roll design. However, the S8 Pro struggled to pick up hair, only picking up 48.5% of 5-inch hair and 24% of 7-inch strands. The T30S was better, at least with 5-inch hair picking up everything, but struggled with 7-inch hair with everything wrapping on the brush. Another aspect we'll examine is how well these robots mop floors. These robots were efficient at removing red wine stains, needing only one pass to clean everything. However, the S8 Pro was more efficient at cleaning hard-to-clean juice stains, again needing only one pass to remove everything, while the Ecovacs T30S wasn't as efficient, leaving this much residue after a 2-pass run. I needed to run it a second time to clean almost everything, but there was still visible residue after the second run. But Ecovacs was better at keeping the pads clean, as the hot water pad washing cycle helped at dislodging residue. Personally, I like this design over the S8's Pro more complicated setup since there are fewer moving parts. The S8 Pro was decent at keeping the pad clean, but residue is visible at the edges right here, where the brush might not reach. Though these robots have a pad lift feature that works on paper, it doesn't go high enough to completely avoid the surface of carpets or rugs, even thin ones. One workaround is using no-go zones to prevent the robot from going on carpets. Or for Roborock users, select the Avoid Carpet in the app so the robot avoids carpet automatically when it detects them. For the noise test, I use a sound meter near the robot to check the loudness of each robot in every power setting. Despite the lower airflow, the Roborock S8 Pro is the noisier option, maxing at 70.8 decibels in the Max Plus setting, which is nearly 3 decibels louder than the T30S's output at 67.1 decibels. Another advantage of the Ecovacs T30S is its longer runtime, rated at 290 minutes, or 110 minutes more than the Roborock S8 Pro's claimed runtime of 180 minutes in the lowest power setting. If you need to clean carpet, you'll most likely use the highest power setting, so expect these numbers to be cut in half if you use this setting. Regardless, with efficient navigation, self-emptying, and recharge and resume features, runtime shouldn't be a major deciding factor between these robots. These robots have apps that you can download to maximize their functionality, and we'll examine the similarities and differences between the Ecovacs and Roborock app. Both have a live map feature that shows the robot's location in real time. This is one of the most helpful features because consumers can check the robot's status and see areas it has cleaned through these lines. One difference is that the Roborock app shows the obstacles it has detected, which is absent in the Ecovacs app. Both have a 3D map feature, but I like the Roborock version better because it has a more accurate drawing of the room compared to the Ecovacs 3D map, which shows a cube. Both have a mapping run that takes advantage of LiDAR's 360-degree scanning to create the map in a fraction of the time compared to a traditional run. And both can save multiple maps, 4 for Roborock and 3 for Ecovacs. Consumers can add containment zones such as invisible walls, no-go zones, and no-mob zones at each map level. Invisible walls are lines that act as walls, blocking the robot from going past it. This feature is helpful because users can draw diagonal lines to help with containment in more complex layouts. No-go and no-mob zones have a similar function, block the robot from going into a rectangular or square zone. The difference is that no-go zones block the robot entirely, while no-mob zones prevent the robot from mopping the area. Users have these options to control the vacuuming and mopping functions, as well as these base station options. While the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra is the more expensive option due to its more complex base station, it offers better cleaning and mopping performance based on the different tests I conducted on it. It also offers a more efficient navigation and better obstacle avoidance than Ecovacs, which needs to improve in these areas. Roborock's twin rubber brushes were superior to the Ecovacs single brush roll design that used softer bristles, which is another downside for the T30S. However, this model is cheaper and has a better pad washing feature if you don't mind the inferior cleaning performance, navigation, and obstacle avoidance. If you have any questions about the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra or the Ecovacs T30S or have used them, please leave them in the comment section below. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when I publish new comparisons like this, and I'll see you in the next video.